Welcome to the 5-Minute Bark podcast. And I'm your special guest host today, Rick Gabrielly, live from New York. And I have got a special guest who is actually the real host of the 5-Minute Bark podcast, Dennis Langlais. And Dennis is an extreme sports athlete, and he is now a celebrity status expert working globally to help people arrive at the same celebrity status that he achieved as a world champion athlete. He's now the host of the 5-Minute Bark podcast, and I'm lucky enough to be hosting him today. Dennis, welcome to the 5-Minute Bark podcast.
Hey, thanks, Rick. You did a great job so far. I like this. I got to learn from you here today.
Thanks, bro. And Dennis is live in San Diego, in La Jolla, my favorite place on earth. And so today I'm going to be basically, this is like a celebrity roast. So Dennis, thanks for coming on and doing this with me.
Rick, thanks for coming on and doing this. And, you know, I've always been interviewing a large number of people now. And I said, you know what, I want to be on my own podcast. So this is a great opportunity for me to have fun and shine on my own podcast. And you know, being interviewed somehow is a lot easier than interviewing. I like that.
Yeah, well, you're not going to say that at the end of this interview today, bro, because I'm bringing it, man.
All right, good.
All right, so the first question I have for you, and I actually polled some people, and they wanted to know what you like to do when you're not on screen, because you're always on screen, so we don't know what you do. I happen to know, but what do you like to do when you're not on screen?
That's a great question, Rick. I love to play golf. I am absolutely addicted to golf. And yes, I'm on the screen more than I used to be with the golf course, but I essentially used to play golf 7 days a week when I was semi-retired. And I'm just infatuated with playing golf. So if I had the perfect day, I'd be doing, you know, some work. I'd golf probably in the morning till about 1 or 2, take a little 3, maybe 2 or 3, take a nap, and then come on and do some podcasting for the rest of the day and have a nice dinner. So that'd be like a perfect day for me. Golf in the morning, light little afternoon nap, and then go and hit the podcast after that, and then go on with my day.
And how did you get into golf?
How did I get into golf? That's a good question. My dad was always a golfer, but I didn't like golf at all. And I had a roommate here in San Diego some time ago, back many years ago, and he was just always messing around with golf clubs in the house, and we'd go out inside and we'd swing around, and we call them Pete the Street, because he'd always go out in the street and swing his golf club. That was how he got his nickname. And I just kind of said, you know what, let's try this. So I started trying it, and I just got absolutely addicted. You know, I was an extreme sports athlete prior to that, and I was actually still kind of dabbling with it at the time. But with that sport, there's always the intrigue of learning a new trick, right? Mm-hmm. And then in golf, you have the opportunity to learn new tricks with the ball and the club and the sand and the grass and the hills and the lies and the distances and so on and so forth. So it's very similar to what I did before, except it's a little safer.
So you think that your life as an extreme sports athlete, as a cyclist, basically, helped you because you had a fascination of learning new tricks and you wanted to do the same thing on the golf course?
Absolutely. Rick, you know, actually before I was a extreme sports bike rider, I was a baseball player, and that's what I really had a large passion for. I wanted to be a professional athlete in the baseball arena, and I learned how to train as a baseball player. I hardly could find somebody that would train harder than us. We were literally dedicated day and night till the sun went down to training. Back in those days, we don't have, not much more day. I know your son is into baseball now, and it's very, very high tech now, but we did what we did. Literally to the point, I live in the ghetto, so literally to the point, we took water jugs and filled them with water, and that's how we did our bench presses every day. We'd be on the cement ground, and we'd have the 2 cement blocks up, and we'd do our weightlifting there, and we'd go and find the best walls to throw the balls against, and our baseball fields were total crap. They were just totally crap. We had to do our own maintenance to them, but we just loved it. We'd ground balls, and the ground balls and the ground wasn't so flat, so you weren't getting this perfect ground. They're so spoiled nowadays. And so yeah, it was just, we trained, and it was just addicting. And then when I was turned into freestyle BMX, I was at baseball practice in high school. Now the problem with doing high school was I had to get to practice and I had to get home from practice. I wasn't old enough to drive a car, and my parents had 5 kids, and it was just really difficult. So my sister would try to be picking them up. My dad, it was really a burden on the family for me to do that. It was almost better off for me to walk home, because I'd be getting picked up sometimes an hour and a half late from practice. And from there, I just saw this guy on a bike. I said, wow, this is pretty cool. And I kind of took to it. And before you know it, it became an addiction there. I guess I got addicted to things, don't I? So, so from there, I went on to riding a bike. Yeah, we're finding some patterns here. I'm addicted to this interview with you, Rick. So, yeah, so I went from there to riding a bike. I could take care of things on my own with that. I could ride my bike anywhere. I could ride anywhere. I could practice when I didn't require other people to participate.
Cool. So tell me, obviously it sounds like there's a pattern with like outdoor sports and, activity with you. So I guess the answer to the question is lots of things outside. You like to be outside.
Love to be outside. It's just, it's so nice. And that's why I moved to California. Well, actually, I should take that back. I actually didn't like California before I came here. I just thought it was, just not for me. And then I came here my first time and it was a concrete jungle. Still didn't like it. Luckily, I landed in La Jolla, which is a whole different ballgame than the rest of most of California. And then I got addicted. When I'm in a jacuzzi in December, I said, this is all right. I can handle this. So yeah, the weather really plays a big play in golf. Obviously, I love to have a sunshine day, and I don't care if it's 117 degrees or 50 degrees. I'll play. It doesn't matter. Cool. But yeah, weather is pretty big for me.
Cool. All right. So now that we know that, and we know that you traveled as an extreme sports athlete, you were global. Where would you live if you could live anywhere in the world other than La Jolla?
Scottsdale, Arizona, or Palm Desert.
Okay.
So
is that
the golf.
Because of the golf too?
Yes, for the golf. I really like Scottsdale. It's just got a good vibe to it. Obviously there's a lot of golf there, and I love the kind of the desert air, the desert smell, the desert, and it's just so peaceful being on this crystal clear green golf course with blue sky and purified green, perfect grass and white sand traps. And, it just, the birds are in the background and it's cactus around you. It's just such an experience. It's meditation while you're doing an activity.
It sounds like a human sports canvas.
Yes.
Beautiful. All right. So why do you like, what do you like most about this current gig that you're doing now, and why?
Rick, I love I'm learning so much being a podcaster. Nothing of what I ever thought it would be. And what I love about it most is the opportunity to really get to know somebody on a very, very intimate level. And I mean intimate by the first few minutes are always kind of like, okay, let's see how this goes and where it's going to go. But eventually we finally get there. And almost like the podcast starts there and here and now. And I know you're a fellow podcaster yourself, but once that connection gets going, it's almost like you don't want it to stop, and even though you have to stop at one point because people will get bored. But once that connection goes, it's not only for your listeners, but it's for you. It's like a feeding of the connectivity in this earth, right? Learning and talking to people and how you can get the feelings out of them, get the good emotions, the positive and the inspirational emotions and moments out of them is like nothing in this world. I mean, I can speak for myself, and I'm sure you probably see the same, but after the podcast, I'm like, if time wasn't getting in our way, we'd probably spend another 2 hours talking to that person. And in most cases I have, I've gone to coffee with them and spent hours or we just sat there and talked. It's like, wow, this new existence. And most of the times you don't even know who these people are before you even hit record. It's
true. All right. Now I'm going to flip it a little bit. What do you hate about podcasting?
What do I hate about podcasting? Well, I hate, this is funny. I hate the fact that I have to write the content to put it on Libsyn, to post it. Cause I am not, I don't have I struggle really a lot with grammar and spelling and so on and so forth. So I have to really spend a lot of time on it. And I don't have the time to do that. So when I have it, I'm going to hire somebody to be able to do that. So it's, my comments, my descriptions and all that stuff are very vague right now on purpose. And I almost have to go through 120 episodes and redo them all and put them, upgrade them, so to speak. But time permits. I'm a one-man show here. I'm doing editing a video and so on and so forth. So that, and then tagging I don't know if you do this yourself, but adding the descriptions to the actual file itself. So those two little things make it a pain in the butt for me.
I'm sure you're going to get a lot of invitations when this thing airs. You're going to get people, hey, Dennis, I want to help you out.
Yeah, right.
All right. What do you want to be when you grow up? I was out there in California in February with you. We hung out. We did like guy stuff. I know you're not grown up yet. I'm not grown up. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Rick, it kind of refers back to the question before and the question before. So I love golf and I love the connection with people via podcast. I mean, today in this day and age, one thing that does suck as being an older person in this world is you just nobody has time for anybody anymore. And you can't sit there. I mean, you and I did have a chance to spend some quality time together. Unfortunately, you were, having some sickness with cold and so on and so forth, but we still had a great time to connect. And you and I probably agree that those things are far and few in between. Nobody's going to just take the time to go for a walk on the beach and just put the phone aside and chat. Whereas on a podcast, you have their undivided attention. They're not going to answer the phone. They're not going to do this. So we all enjoy and we all crave great connections. So connecting, I will continue to do podcasting on a whole nother level. I'm really kind of getting creative with it. And I'm also going to continue to golf. Those are two things that, God, I can't think of anything better.
All right, so I have a little gift for you today. This is just like an intellectual gift.
A free download?
This is right from here, right to you. So this is a new phrase that we're going to coin live on the 5 Minute Bark podcast. And the future of Dennis and the podcast and his golf life is going to be called golf casting. Basically, you go out on the golf course with your guest and you play golf and you podcast right from the course live.
How great would that be?
So there you go. So people, you heard it first here. Dennis is going to be the first golf caster.
Yeah.
How about that, bro? That's
great because you will, now with the technology, we can put that person on Skype while they're walking around and suit them up with a great, they got the lavalier mics now. So that'd be actually a really good idea.
You could put GoPro cameras on.
Oh, that's true.
You could film each other.
Attach them to the phone and make it live.
So you and I are going to do it.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. What turns you on most about the technology that we have available to us today at this amazing time in our history?
Wow. I love that question. I love the fact that now, more than ever before, with my Mac, my Apple computers, and so on, I'm able to have everything in one place that I can get to. For me, that is so huge. And a lot of people don't understand how iCloud works and the synchronicity of your phone and your computer and your laptop and your iPad. A lot of people don't even use that technology. But for me, it's so important because I love being anywhere and having everything. I was at the coffee shop an hour ago, 15 minutes ago, working on something on my laptop. I come over here to my full-size computer. The same stuff's on there. I don't have to go drag it over, copy it over. The same conversations, the same internet URLs I was experiencing, my texts are on my computer. So essentially my computer is a phone, a laptop. My phone's a phone, a laptop, a computer. Everything's kind of interconnected. And that's really huge for me in getting things done quicker. I mean, everybody's like, how do you get things done quick? Well, I have everything anywhere. If I have to use my phone, I have to use my laptop, I have to use my computer. I have it all everywhere.
Cool. So it's about connectivity. Basically, that's kind of like your theme, connecting with people, connecting with technology, and connecting people and technology.
You're right.
All right. Now, I think that this is something I'm going to reveal about you that not everybody knows, but you are a tech guru and a technical genius, and you have built a program, a number of programs, but among them is like this productivity and organization and training program that is a back end. And I don't think enough people know about it, so we want to promote it on this show today. Why should the audience follow you and these amazing programs that you've built?
Well, thank you for that. First off, that's great that you kind of brought that in here because it is an untapped, unused, unknown product I've come out with. So basically, it's a success-filled platform that I've created essentially based on how I've performed success in my life and tested against other people's things, but it's got different things like creating task lists, creating a mindset. More importantly, it's probably one of the best tools in the Success Builder platform that helps you create a mindset. I mean, I don't know if I've shown you or some of the audience out there. There is some videos out there on YouTube about it, but the mindset tool has really helped me in this very situation right here because you can leave this situation here and evaluate it with my tool and go through the motions of how you're reacting, how you're answering the questions, how that other person's reacting, and so on and so forth. And it's really helped me there. There's also the goal setting stuff in there. There's different things like
there's the electronic business card.
Yes, the business card. People love that one. People love that one the most. And you essentially can take the phone and you can send a text message with a link to your business card. So here everybody today is handing out a physical business card, which is still the default. But now you can just text them and they can get your social media, they can get a video of you, they can get a picture of you, they can get everything, and it's more interactive. So I think it's still ahead of its time, so to speak. People are just still so used to throwing out a business card, but it really is a cool thing. Once people get them, they're like, oh, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, so I'm hoping in the show notes you'll promote that more, because I don't think enough people know that the guy, the founder, the host of the 5 Minute Bark podcast is a productivity, a sales specialist, a marketing, an efficiency guru. So I want you to promote that. So why should people follow your programs? What's it going to give them?
Well, there's two things that happen. There's the Success Builder platform, but right now the big push is the manufacturing celebrity status course. And it basically is 10 to 13 modules built on how I became a podcaster. And I came from being a professional celebrity athlete, whatever you want to call it, where I was in a situation where I didn't have to ask people to sponsor me. I didn't have to ask people to give me money. They would say, hey, Dennis, would you be interested in riding these wheels on your bike? Or would you like to go on tour and travel and speak or perform? And here's some money for doing that. Becoming a podcaster, it's a scratch. I started from scratch. So I had to kind of say, well, money's tight. How do I get from A to Z quicker than most? So if I want to make money doing what I love to do, how do I do that? Well, I want to become a celebrity, because celebrities get more endorsements. They usually make more money, and they live more of a lifestyle that we all prefer. So I started the podcast in order to promote my other fun stuff that you're talking about here, because that's going to basically catapult all that stuff. I say, Dennis, hey everybody, I just created this great success platform, but if I'm famous, they'll buy it. I don't even have to look at it. They'll just put their credit card in, right? That's how it all works. It's just how it works. That's the reality. And it's crazy how that's so true. Even the people that don't like celebrity, you ask them about a product, like, yeah, and then they say it's endorsed by Tiger Woods or somebody else. So it's like, boom, it's just endorsements just really work. So the podcast was part of all that. And then I all of a sudden fell in love with the podcast because I really enjoyed it. And like I said, the benefits that came from it were amazing. So that course is all the knowledge that I had learned over time. Guest speaking, podcasting itself, doing Blab. I can't tell you how many people, and I notice you've come in touch with a lot of people from Blab. The Blab we've done, we did a few of them, and we've gotten so many great friends that are great people. I mean, they're people that are like rebels for us, right? They'll share and like and capture things for us. So those things are very important. And also, it also talks about being known locally, how important that is. I just had somebody call me today, another fellow podcaster from New Jersey. He says, dude, I'm working on my local being known locally. And he's going to the local TV stations and getting on so he can get his famous local, because you need every tree needs a trunk, right? If you want to be a global thinker, or you want to be an expert to the world or locally in your state or in the nation, you have to have a local presence to build from. So let's say, okay, you get everybody locally to know you and love you and like you. Now you're going to need that support from them to jump it up to the higher levels. So they're going to be liking your stuff on Facebook. They're going to be following you. They're going to be sharing you, and it just grows and grows and grows. And you cannot go and like try to analyze it all. It just happens absolutely the way you don't think it's going to happen. This interview happened. I got interviewed. I got introduced to you by somebody else on a different situation. The interview I did yesterday just happened on accident. Being on the Grant Cardone show, I reached out to him a number of times, emailed him, tweeted him, texted him, all this stuff, not text, but email. No response. I jump on Blab, and there he is. And then he ends up asking me on my show. So it was like a reverse pivot. So, and with Forbes yesterday, she asked to be narrating me. So it all happens the way you don't think it happens. You just have to kind of push forward and put that celebrity out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the thing that you're offering is a shortcut to celebrity status, productivity, and business success, whether it be online or offline.
Exactly. In order to be successful, you have to have your accountability, right? The platform has the accountability. In order to be successful, you have to be in front of people the way you want to be in front of people. And that's important to understand that. You don't have to be like a movie star. You can be your own person. And that's where your avatar comes in, and your branding, which is a very big issue. Is you notice behind me, I've got my branding. It's a lot of people like, wow, this guy is the real deal because of this $250. There you go. I mean, that's a great photo, right?
It is, man. So I got my branding going.
Yeah, you got your branding going.
My bark.
Exactly.
Got my bark on.
Yeah. So you've got to have that. I mean, this is $250, and the yield I've got out of it. What's that? Well worth it. Yeah. And people will not take the time to go and do that. They just think that they got to do everything else besides branding.
Well, now.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us, what is your biggest business mistake to this point?
My biggest mistake in business to this point is rushing. I have too much go forward, trust the universe kind of thing. You got to have some backing. For example, a few years back, I invested in a bridge company that was going to be bought by Google Ventures. And I handed a bunch of money over. I trusted this person to take care of the money and didn't do any of the research myself. So sure enough, it's 4 years later, never hear from the people again. Thousands and tens of thousands of dollars are gone. All the promises that I was forced into in the last minute. Hey, you got to do this today. Trust me. It's a guaranteed, 500% on your money or 30% on your money. And I didn't do the due diligence. If I did more due diligence than the person that sold me in a few hours. And I realized, this is a bunk deal. They were supposed to raise X amount of money. They didn't even raise all that money. And why are they taking my money in the first place? So
is this why the phrase, do you want to buy a bridge, came around?
Yeah, right. So,
hey, Cody, what's up, Cody? I think she heard about the investment.
Right. So,
all right. What's your favorite ice cream? What's your favorite ice cream flavor, Dennis?
That's a good question, Rick. Definitely vanilla. I love vanilla. It's just my total go-to. I don't know why. That second is coffee and third is Heavenly Hash. And
is that the same in soft ice cream and hard ice cream?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I like vanilla in both, but I go different. I go cookie dough. I go coffee. All right.
A lot of people like the cookie dough.
Oh, I love cookie dough. I like to mix coffee, cookie dough, and vanilla.
Awesome.
All right. Who's your favorite 5-minute bark guest host?
Guest host. Well, today, Cody.
Oh,
no.
Man.
Today it's Rick Gabrielly for sure, dude. I totally appreciate you doing this. This is amazing, and I love how you're just kind of straight to the point with the questions. It allows me to be straight point with answers, so I have to appreciate that.
So you basically dogged me, man, for Cody. All right,
there you go.
And I had to ask that question for Forbes. I know that she's going to love that, and I was wondering if you were going to pick me over her, man. I had to follow her, so I had to bring something.
I picked Cody. I plead the fifth.
Good man. All right, tell us a little known fact about you that nobody else knows.
A known fact about me that nobody knows. Rick, I'm very thankful to have so many amazing friends. And they're honest, true goodness friends that I've had for many years that, there's a certain way you can kind of justify your friends. Being from the East Coast, number one, we said, if we don't trust them if they don't swear. That's one of the number one things that we go about. And number two is we do the old airport trick. Like, hey, I need a ride to the airport. And You can see how they're going to answer. And generally, most of my friends are like, what time? Cool. What time do you need me to be there? So if it's 4 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever, it doesn't matter. They're going to be there for you. And that question goes a long way, to be honest with you. It really does. You can ask those people that are just kind of on the fence, and you can text them maybe or ask them in person, and they won't respond. They really won't. So it's really important to have all these great friends around me. I would say at least 100 good quality friends that I can talk to on any shape, way, or form that I can have. I just picked up a friend recently from the airport to go to the airport, and he lives in Carlsbad, which is about 25 minutes north, and he had to be in the airport by 4:15. He asked me, and I'm like, what time? Because I know he's there for me, and it's not like he's like, I sure do. That's really early in the morning. I'm like, come on, it's not an issue. And, it's not like, hey, why don't you get an Uber to my house and I'll take you from here or anything like that. It's like, you know what? They want to leave. They're going out of the country. They want to leave the country safe. They want to, don't have to worry about something. I show up a half hour or so early. Sure enough, I get to the house and there's a smoothie made for me at 4 a.m. and we're talking, we're enjoying our time together, and we have the trip to the airport together. So if it takes being at 4 a.m. to have some time with a friend, it takes 4 a.m. And that's pretty valuable.
And I'll tell our audience, the reason that Dennis has all these good friends is, here's one example of how he rocks. When I was out in La Jolla in February, I was sicker than 9 dogs. And Dennis called me up one morning and said, hey, dude, you need me to bring you some chicken soup or something? So, awesome. He is like that. So he is genuine. Just what you see is who he is behind the scenes. So you're an awesome guy, dude.
Well, it takes two, Rick. It takes two people. You and I spent some, we didn't know each other before that trip, essentially, besides on Blab. And we got some time together and enjoyed it. And we even actually got a chance to do a podcast. I know you weren't feeling well in the podcast, but we made it happen. We just make things happen.
Crushed it.
Yeah, we had a great day, walk on the beach. And, it's just invaluable to have people around you that you can share and talk with and trust. They'll know, like, and trust, right? And it has to be available in a relationship the same.
All right, this is my final question of the interview. If you could interview any one person in the world, who would that person be?
Tony Robbins, depends on what name you want to use. He's always been an amazing person that's been in my life. Very special since I was a professional athlete. I've listened to his tapes many times. When they were back then, they were tapes, and then they went to CDs. I just finally got the first chance to go to one of his events here in March and experience the human being in real life and almost shake his hand, pretty close. But I've actually grown close to a few of his close friends as well. So hopefully someday that's going to happen soon enough. But I'd love to have Tony Robbins on. I'd love to have the chance to give him the opportunity to just sit down and relax and have a good interview that's not going to be a canned question situation. I really just want to just have a chat, and let people see him in a relaxed state where he's not having to inspire people and just inspire himself and inspire me in one individual conversation. So I'd really be exciting to do that and have that opportunity. And I think I could rock it.
Yeah, we're going to make that happen. And, I'm just talking now again to the audience, the 5 Minute Bark podcast audience. I know that you have in your audience many people who are close enough to Tony to get him to come on the show. So, Tony, if you're listening today, me and Dennis are big fans, lifelong fans. I go back to the cassette days in the car and many, many functions. And we are asking you together here to come on the 5 Minute Bark podcast. So some big name guests, you'll be the next one. And I did the same thing recently, invited one of my, wish list guests to my show. So we'll see if that person comes on.
I think he will. We all enjoy what he does, and I think this is a way to give back to him to enjoy. I know it may be looked at as a task at first for him, but maybe we can get him settled down and have him enjoy it. And other people have joined it. I know you've enjoyed the show. A lot of people have enjoyed it, and I think we can make it an enjoyment for him where hopefully he can leave the podcast and be inspired.
And you know what? Maybe we could help him achieve celebrity status too.
Exactly.
If he follows your program.
He's still got a few more people he could tag onto his belt, and we can help him. We can help him relate to those people. That's right.
He might find them through the 5 Minute Bark.
He might need to, expand his horizon in dogs. So
true that, man. Hey, listen, it was great being on the show, Dennis. Thank you for joining me today. Obviously, thanks for having me as a guest host, and thanks for being the special guest on the 5 Minute Bark podcast today.
Rick, thank you for all the great questions. Taking the time out of your day to work with me here and interview me. This is a goal checked off the list to be on my own podcast. And I know from all the guests, I'm among great guests to be around. Now the 130 people that have been on this podcast, and they're all each individual person has been amazing in their own right. And sometimes we go out, we get off the podcast, and we go, this wasn't that great, and then all of a sudden 3 days later you go, wow, this was magic. It was great. And it's great to be among those people. And lastly, if you're somebody out there that's listening to the 5 Minute Bark magic, I'm thinking about magic all day long here because I'm trying to make some magic happen here. If you're out there listening, we appreciate you. Both Rick and I appreciate you listening here today, and we hope we're inspiring you in some sort of way. Rick here has been a guest twice now on the 5 Minute Bark, and he's doing great things with marriages and people and helping them reconnect and strengthen their relationships. But he's beyond that. He's far beyond that, and does other things that are great. He's got a great family that he's behind, and I spent at least 2 hours talking on the phone with him about, if you want to talk to Rick, just talk about baseball and his son, and he'll have you on the phone for 2.5 hours, no problem. So he's got an amazing family, and so I look up to you as well, Rick. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Awesome. Bye, everybody. You're watching the 5 Minute Bark podcast on YouTube. If you like this episode, you just may like many more. Subscribe today by clicking the red subscribe button in the top right-hand corner.